Greetings, Devoiders. I know you're probably expecting to be greeted by Micah, but in fact, this is me, Derek, the leader of the Pink World Order. This episode is a takeover of the specifically Devoid podcast by me and James, known as the Pink World Order. This will also serve as the first episode of the pWo cast, which you can find on the pWo cast YouTube channel, and hopefully, if I do everything right, on Spotify as well. So relax and enjoy this a little different episode of, in air quotes, specifically Devoid and air quotes.
True.
It's just two white guys with nothing better to do talking to each other for an hour. That's how most podcasts end up.
It's for people that should be a lot more productive with their free time.
Absolutely. It's for people who have a bunch of lyric diction homework overdue and would rather do anything else.
It's for people that have a bunch of form and analysis homework overdue and would rather do something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I gotta say, I think that music homework, even though it might not be necessarily the hardest thing compared to some like maybe hard sciences or organic chemistry, but I think it could be the least fun because I'm someone that when I do like normal homework, non-music homework, I like to listen to music.
Right.
But when I do music homework, I can't listen to other music. I have to listen to these shitty Bach pieces that they give me. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, Bach, but I'd rather be listening to like, I don't know, anyone else.
I just absolutely hate how music schools like teach Bach so aggressively. Nothing existed without Bach, so you have to love Bach.
And I love he is like the end all of Baroque. It's like, well, when Bach died, that's when Baroque died. And that's just how they teach it.
Yeah. God, Bach music is so boring. It's so formulaic, you know?
It is like that's the thing. Form and analysis, everything is formulaic. That's why it's in the class.
Oh no.
All it is just boring pieces that follow the same form. I have to hear a refrain, go to the B section, followed by a bridge or a development. That's what you call it. Oh my god.
Oh my god. So for anyone who's watching and is confused at this point, this is a podcast.
Yes. This is a podcast. And what's fantastic is sometimes with podcasts, like they'll prep a little bit and they'll have certain things they want to cover. We didn't prep at all. We just sort of started talking on the cuff, off the cuff, actually.
I think preparing a podcast is the worst way to go about just a regular podcast.
Really?
Like I think coming up with like one topic to kind of base the podcast around is the way to go. But like you can obviously tell when podcasts are too prepared and it gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
And it's like true. In general, prepared stuff is just less fun. You know?
And I think there's an art to carrying a conversation for more than 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
I think in, today's society, a lot of us are so used to texting or hiding behind a keyboard or hiding on some sort of form where we don't have enough face-to-face interactions, and the art of having a good conversation is starting to dwindle. You see it in the service industry too. There's more automation. There's less and less workers. You'll find within 20 years, McDonald's is not going to have cashiers. They're going to have kiosks, and there might be people that make the food, but there's really going to be no one taking your order. And we're going to start to see it slowly happen in society. So it's good for us to be able to just, connect.
That's what podcasts are for, to teach people how to have conversations again.
Exactly. Especially in this time of Corona,
in this trying time. We're all in this together. Gosh, all of that stuff. We're all suffering the same amount, whether you're at home in your $1 million mansion or trying to get money to pay rent.
Oh,
we're all struggling all the same,
There is something a little hypocritical when I see like J-Lo and Alex Rodriguez, posting from their like $50 million mansion. Hey guys, we're all in this together. Keep the fight. I'm like, you guys have like 5 people tending to your every need. Like, what are you talking about? You have all the money in the world. You can just wait it out. There's some of us that can't.
Ellen was the worst one when the whole pandemic started. She was posting these things like in her fucking private pool in her $1 million mansion that middle-aged moms and gays bought.
Yeah.
She's gonna be like, it's just a struggle all the same, you know.
I think Ellen's just the worst in general.
Ellen is the worst. Can we talk about it? Ellen is so
Please.
mean to a lot of people.
Literally, I don't know how on earth she got picked as like the nice person.
Right? Is it because she came out in like the 90s and so it was like, hey, Ellen was one of the first people to be gay on television.
Yeah, and then like because she's gay, there's this like barrier a little bit where people are sort of afraid to criticize her.
Absolutely. It's it's the concept of Ellen's gay, so she's got to be a good person, right?
Exactly.
No,
yes.
And it's as a member of the LGBTQ community, it does infuriate me how people think that members of the LGBTQ community are incapable of being bad people, because
they can be even worse than like heterosexual people most of the time.
Anyone could be a terrible person. It is within every human's heart, and it is the goal of every person to be the worst person they could possibly be. It is. I'm pretty sure that's a part of the U.S. Constitution. Actually, is just be the worst person you possibly could be, or else you're not American.
And I think the founding fathers led by example when it comes to that.
Oh my gosh!
At Thomas Jefferson, just casually having children with like numerous of his slaves.
Oh yeah. How many people do you think only know about American history through Hamilton?
Of our generation, probably 20% of our generation.
Right. No, like I wonder how many people just forget about the fact that most of the people who were in the cast of Hamilton had slaves.
Yes, literally.
Like I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Philip Schuyler had slaves. I know Thomas Jefferson did, George Washington did.
And I see a lot of older people try to stick up for Christopher Columbus. They're all like, they're trying to ruin Christopher Columbus. He discovered America. I'm like, yeah, but he was a shitty person. I don't know why we celebrated him to begin with.
Those are the same people that think they could be shitty parents and their kids have to be nice to them just because they're their parents.
Exactly. Nothing is I want to say like as far as life goes, I don't think anything can be taken for granted. I think everything has to be earned.
There's no excuse for being a shitty person that makes it okay to be a shitty person.
You have to put in effort to be somewhat open. Right. And I think we need to just listen a little bit more,
Absolutely.
And I think, yeah, go ahead.
I think kids shows sort of play into that problem where they don't teach kids how to be nice anymore.
Yes.
They just exist to catch kids' attention, to like, oh, go grab the iPad and watch whatever while I go do my thing that I need to do,
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, a lot of parents are using iPads and devices as babysitters.
Yeah.
Like when a parent has like had enough of playing with their child, they're just like, all right, why don't you just go on your iPad or something?
And if it works, like it's better to pay $300 once for an iPad than to pay like $20 every week for some teen to come over and probably, stay with your child while they make out with their boyfriend.
Exactly. It's just like, all right, go play on your iPad. Mommy needs a drink.
Right. go play Cut the Rope or Angry Birds or whatever. Do either of those games exist anymore? Do kids play those games?
Oh my god, dude. I don't even know. I know like like wasn't Flappy Bird taken off of the App Store for quite a while? Like I don't
Flappy
remember
Bird
if it ever came back on.
Flappy Bird got taken off of the App Store because people got violent with it.
How
People got
so?
violent. Like someone like legitimately injured their brother because they got angry because they got a bad score in Flappy Bird.
I did hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a whole bit. Don't remove Flappy Bird from your phone because you won't be able to re-download it.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I didn't remove it for the longest time because of
Oh my
that.
gosh! I found
Oh,
out. I found out that if you had ever downloaded it, you can technically re-download it,
yes, that's true.
but it just won't work anymore.
Really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
because the game hasn't been updated to the new Apple operating systems, and
Yes.
it's been like 5 versions of iOS since
Yeah.
Flappy Bird
Yep.
was on the App Store.
Oh,
Back when the home buttons had squares on them.
there are just some really old apps that I have that are so obsolete. Like they won't even run. Dude, I'll tell you, this is absolutely the worst. So I downloaded a game when I was probably like 10, just on like my first I think it was an iPad. Yeah, it would have been on my iPad. It's called Chevy Baseball. It was the worst thing I've ever heard. It would be like the Chevrolets versus the Dodges because, it's General Motors. What else are they going to use? And, oh my God. The mechanics were so bad.
Oh,
Like, it was 3D, but it wasn't good 3D.
ooh,
Like
yeah.
it made me wish it was 2D.
It was like if it was a PlayStation 1 game, it would have had bad graphics.
Yes, yes. And I just remember it because this was like when the second iPad ever came out. Like just
Oh,
iPad 2 second. So this would have been like 2010. And this was like iOS 3 or
yeah.
something like that. Oh my God. I just try to picture trying to play that game now on iOS 14.
Do you remember when like the state of the art technology sort of apps on the iPhone were like the iBeer thing where you would like fake drink beer or like the fake lightsabers or whatever. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Did you ever have the prank app that was it made your phone vibrate and it made a like a hair shaver sound?
No,
So you'd go up to your friends and you'd press the button and your phone start vibrating and playing the sound and you'd run it across their head.
I've never heard of that. I
Oh,
never heard of that.
it was
That's fantastic. The only really old app that I can remember, one was Angry Birds. You mentioned it, but Temple Run. Remember
oh
that?
my god. That game, remember when Temple Run 2 was like impossible to run on any device because it was so high tech?
Yes, dude. Remember? I I'm actually quite ashamed. Tiny Towers.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
So it was a game way back in like 2011. It was sort of like 8-bitty, so it was really cartoony, but it was a tycoon game. Like you'd build
Ooh,
floors on top of floors, and there were like different styles. So you needed like residential, retail, food, just different kinds of necessities in this giant tower.
right.
And you just build floors on top of floors, dude. I made
Oh,
so many
that's
in that.
so
I
cool.
made so many in-app purchases on that.
Oh
I
no.
I think I paid like $30 for the best elevator possible. Like
That's
it
so much money.
it was dangerous.
I never understood how someone could spend money on a phone game until I downloaded Pokemon Go. And then
Yes.
like I ran out of items and I was like, "Oh, I get it now. I understand."
Yeah. No, I feel it, but honestly, I think once I found console games, like once I got my PS4 in 2016, it was over. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
barely play phone games. The quality is so much better.
Also, phone games are just bad in general. I don't feel like there's a way to make a good one.
No, I mean,
Because if you
yeah.
have at least a good shooter game, the controls are clunky as hell.
Oh yeah. I mean, the only kind of game you could make good for a phone is like a puzzle game.
Oh
But
yeah.
even But even then, you can't have it be that interactive because it's a phone and you can only touch screen. Like you
Right.
don't have a controller or buttons to press, really.
And also nowadays on phones, you have to make something really unique for a puzzle game, or it's
Yeah,
just a Candy Crush ripoff.
exactly. Well, don't you remember Candy Crush is just a ripoff of Bejeweled? Like,
Oh
you know,
my
Bejeweled
gosh.
Blitz, something like that.
There was a game I played that was also kind of like that, and I can't remember what it was called. But instead of like the jewels or the candy, there were these really weird creature looking things. And it was on back in like Windows XP era PC
Wow. I
games. And I
was gonna
can't
say,
remember what it was. Because
I don't, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't have it, but my grandma had it on her
Okay.
computer. So I'd always play it when I went over to her house.
Those are the best. Yeah, there was I remember my grandpa. See, like my grandpa's someone that likes to think he's on the cusp of technology, and as the years have gone by, it like slowly passes him. So like when computers were on Windows XP, like yeah, he had a hang of it, you know. And then they just kept moving. And I had to go over there the other day and show him like how to connect to his Wi-Fi
Oh
after
no.
he'd changed the password. I felt so bad. I
Oh
was like, hey, Grandpa, you know, Joe Biden's going to be in the White House. He's going to have to learn this too.
I can't imagine like the 21-year-old intern who's supposed to just be working for like the press secretary having to like set up all of Joe Biden's electronics.
Literally, I'm just picturing like Joe setting his own rig up. Like,
He sets up a whole gamer setup.
that would be fantastic. You just see him like in the Oval Office. He has like a one of those like trap rooms. You like knock on the wall twice, and there's just a door that opens up, and it's like an MLG cave.
Oh my
There's
god.
just like a 80-inch plasma on the
Right.
wall.
He's
Got the
he's got
PS5.
three monitors and a light up keyboard.
Yeah,
He's got
and,
like a blue Yeti microphone just like right here.
but he's still Joe Biden, so he's gonna have a full racing rig, and he'll be playing iRacing, like in his little Corvette. He'll just be like, "Hey, what's good?" And he's like driving with a little helmet on.
Joe Biden would get that whole setup and use it to play Farmville.
Yes, he totally would.
You see, Farmville's running at 60 frames per second and full 4K HD.
He would use it to just like watch something. He wouldn't even play it. Like I feel like he'd pull up like a live video feed of his dog like sitting in the next room over and be like, "Wow, I'm not there. I get to watch my dog."
He's using it just to play Among Us with AOC.
Okay, where is the chat? POGG.
Oh my god. POTUS poggers.
Can we have some poggers in the chat?
Can we get some poggers in the chat? If you're watching this episode of the podcast, please leave a poggers in the chat to let us know you made it this far.
Yes, please.
So I did have a topic planned for today's episode.
Okay.
And I think it'll be a great topic to talk about considering sort of the name of our podcast.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a bit about wrestling.
Yes.
Because it is something that we both enjoy, but sort of in a different way.
Yes.
Than me and Micah.
Yes.
On that other channel.
Yes.
Because
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because as you could probably guess if you're listening and looking at the pWo logo and background, we're very much fans of the New World Order.
Yes.
And in fact, we'll have to redo the Lost Wrestling podcast episode we recorded that one time. Where we ranked NWO members.
Yes, that was some of the most fun I've had. Just because I forgot that half of those people were even in that, and then the other half I didn't even know were in it to begin with. It's It's a classic example of too many cooks.
Oh, absolutely. There was just way too many people in that faction, and it just kept growing.
Like, it would have been one thing if they kept it to just big name former WWF people. Yeah, go ahead and get Rick Rude in it. Get Mr. Perfect in it. I like get some of those guys in there. Flair, Steiner. Don't make it so that there's just so many lower tier card guys in there. Like Disco Inferno was in there.
Disco Inferno was in there because he had nothing to do, and Scott Hall dragged him out.
Yes, it was literally it. Like Disco Inferno has done some shoot interviews, and he's just been like, so yeah, I was sitting in the back hanging with Scott and Kev, and Scott was just like, hey, you just want to come out and like watch my match ringside? And Disco's like, sure. And
That
so
just
we did
shows-
that a bunch of times.
That just shows the creative pull that like the New World Order had, where they could just be like, "Fuck it, you want to come out to the ring, be a part of the group?"
It's gonna say, like, not only like Scott Hall has a great wrestling mind, but he never really pulled strings much. It was you had Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan. Like,
Oh
both of those guys were just political nightmares.
Kevin Nash, not so much, but Hulk Hogan sounded like the worst person to work with. Like, ever.
Oh, 100%. Just listening to how he was with Shawn Michaels in 2005.
Which is crazy because Shawn Michaels was also probably one of the worst people to work with.
Yes. It's just fantastic, dude. I love watching that match every so often just to see Shawn sell it.
It's so great. It's one of my like favorite so bad it's good matches.
Yes.
It's like that. And have you ever watched the WLC match?
What?
So it was, I think it was like 2014, 2013, and it was at the Extreme Rules, and it was Hornswoggle versus El Torito.
Jesus
And
Christ.
they had small ladders, they had a tiny ring crew, like outside, like a tiny announce desk.
Oh my God.
It was Jerry Smaller, Micro Cole, and JB Elf.
That's
and then
horrible.
And then there was a small referee, and it was a good match. Like this was the era. This was sort of the pinnacle of the 3MB versus Los Matadores feud.
No, dude, you know what this sounds like the pinnacle of? Like, this is just that point in time where, like, in the middle of their match in a pay-per-view, for no reason, you see the lights flash, and then Michael Cole gets up. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement from the anonymous Raw general manager.
I remember that was when I started watching Raw again.
Yeah.
Like 2010 during the anonymous Raw general manager thing. And I thought the anonymous Raw general manager was such a cool concept. And then they ruined it by like abandoning it and then revealing like 3 years later that it was Hornswoggle.
Yes.
That it was literally just Hornswoggle under the ring the entire time.
I feel like it's a great idea, but the execution was so wrong.
Yeah, they were really bad at executing GMs for Raw at the time. Because the GM before that was Bret Hart when he was back for a small little bit in 2010. He was GM for like a month, and then he won the US title and had lost his job as the GM. Which there's so much wrong there.
Yes. Oh my God. I feel like if they wanted to do it well, never use Michael Cole as a mouthpiece.
Oh my God.
No. You want to know what's even worse? What? One of the general managers, like right after the anonymous one, was John Laurinaitis. Remember when they tried to use him as Brock Lesnar's mouthpiece?
I don't. Wait, did they do that?
Well, they made it like they had John Laurinaitis and Brock like on screen a lot of the time. Like, this was like right when he came back.
I remember the contract signing.
Yeah, it was like a contract signing, but eventually what they did with it was they had like Triple H come in, and it was Triple H like sparring words with John Laurinaitis, and John Laurinaitis is like talking on Brock Lesnar's behalf, like
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar would pressure John Laurinaitis into this insane contract where he's like, I get to fly first class, I get $5 million for this one match, and John Laurinaitis is like, yeah, all right, Brock, and so that,
Didn't they make Monday Night Raw for like a week called Monday Night Raw starring Brock Lesnar?
yes, yes, that was a thing.
I remember that because it was really funny.
Yes, and I think that was the episode where like Triple H came out when Brock Lesnar was out there, and he was just like, "All right, this contract is null and void. This is ridiculous. No one is bigger than this brand. Raw is the best." And he Triple H is a face, so he's got the crowd cheering, and Brock is just kind of standing there, and then you hear John Laurinaitis' music, "People Power," and John just comes out. Well, Triple H, this contract was signed. I think it's a fair contract. And it's just, they tried to have him as Lesnar's mouthpiece. And I think I heard one story because I'm a huge Brock Lesnar fan.
Mhm.
For those of you at home that don't know, Lesnar and Hall are my two big ones. So I know a lot of Lesnar stories and I know a lot of Hall stories. One of my favorite Lesnar stories is Vince is sitting like back there at his control panel, and there was some on-screen storyline between Triple H, Lesnar, and John Laurinaitis that he just didn't like how it was executed. Like, WWE creative is bad, but even when Vince has to go up to Brock Lesnar afterwards and be like, "That's not really what we were looking for, Brock," and then so Vince goes up to Lesnar and he's just like, "Brock, that's not what we're looking for." Then Brock Lesnar goes, "Get me Heyman." Brock's like, "He's my Jew." And then Vince is like, "He doesn't want to come back," and Lesnar just goes, "Give him an offer he can't refuse," and then just left. And that's what they did. And that's how Paul Heyman came back.
Did you ever hear the story? I think it's a story that Wade Barrett tells. Where
Yes.
it was Wade Barrett, Cody, and a bunch of other guys at the gym, and Brock shows up, and they're like, "Oh shit, Brock's here!" And they keep doing their thing as normal, and they go into the changing room, and Brock goes in there, and Brock goes to the bathroom, and this one random guy follows Brock into the bathroom, and you could just hear out of the bathroom, "Are you trying to look at my fucking penis?" Just so loud. I'm honestly more scared of Brock Lesnar than I am of Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah.
Like at this point, at least Mike Tyson's old.
Yeah.
And like smokes a lot of weed these days, so he probably wouldn't hurt me as much.
Yeah.
But Brock is scary. Brock lives his life as a fucking Minnesotan farmer when he's not wrestling.
Dude, literally, he's not even in Minnesota anymore. He went to Canada because Minnesota was too populated for him. Like there were just too many people in Minnesota, so he had to go to like Manitoba or something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's in Canada. Yeah. He's in Canada now, and he's there with Sable. Like everyone forgets that him and Sable are a thing.
Yeah. You know what I always forget about? I always forget that like he came up with Shelton Benjamin, and they were both supposed to be like the next big things.
Yes, that's right. And then Shelton Benjamin joined Team Angle, and they had to like go against each other a lot.
Mm-hmm. Team Angle was so good though. Like I love
Charlie Haas. Like he was always underrated.
Oh yeah, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin were such a good tag team. And honestly, even after all that stuff, Charlie Haas was a really underrated comedy guy.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you remember, but in like 2008, 2009, he kind of did the Sandow shtick where he would show up as different people.
I don't remember that.
He wrestled one match as the Great Charlie instead of the Great Khali.
That's great.
And he came out as like different people so much. He had that tag team with Rico for a little bit.
I was gonna say, once your character is just coming out and parodying other characters, it's almost over.
It's almost over.
Like
And
it happened to Charlie Haas, happened to Sando. I think it happened to Heath Slater at one point.
Heath
Like I
Slater,
with
Heath
him.
Slater had the thing leading up to the 1000th episode of Raw, where he
Yes,
fought a
yes,
bunch of random legends and lost to everyone except I think Doink.
yes. And then like on Raw 1000, they had all of the legends
Yeah,
return, and
and I think
like
he technically lost a match to Lita at Raw 1000.
yes, yes, that's right, that's right. Oh my God,
I, I feel bad for Heath because he if you don't know, he debuted in Impact and TNA.
really?
Yeah, and they had a battle royal on their most recent show where the winner would get a title match, and they're sort of doing the same 2016 storyline that they did with Heath, where like Heath was trying to get a contract, and
Yeah,
Rhino was helping him,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Heath was supposed to win the match, but he got injured like as soon as he entered. Like
Wow.
it was like a Royal Rumble style match, and he got injured as soon as they entered, and they had to change the finish to Rhino winning because that was the only way in storyline they could at least give Heath the contract. Because
Yeah.
if Heath won, he got a contract, and if Rhino won, Heath got a contract.
Okay.
So now Rhino is just owed a title match that they
That makes
weren't expecting.
All right. So I think what I just wanted to say about Heath Slater is that I feel bad for him because he's the only member of 3MB that hasn't really experienced a career resurrection. You think about the other guys, right? You think Jinder Mahal, he's okay. He was a champion, but the real one's Drew McIntyre.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he left, he had to go find himself. And when he came back, he was on top. Like he's still on top. He's like Roman Reigns level, I
I
mean,
think
it's both to a WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think he's the only person where Impact actually translated well into him returning to WWE.
Yes.
Because he was like Impact, I think, is where he was at his best for a long time before this past year.
Yeah. I think you know, I really feel bad for Heath. I want him to have a good shot again.
And he's good. He's a good hand. He's a good wrestler.
Yeah. I
Like,
think yeah.
and I think he was getting slotted towards winning the Impact World title, and then he got hurt in that match, and now I don't know when he's going to be back.
You know who else I feel like is always getting dealt bad blows? Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Like he's literally he like say what you want about his character and his personality as a wrestler, pure wrestler, he sells some of the best sells I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good in the ring. Like I just don't know how they didn't push him more.
My favorite is Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match. He always does really good in those ladder matches, even when it's just selling climbing up the ladder without being able to use his freaking legs.
Yes. Oh, dude, Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match is the equivalent of Kofi in a Royal Rumble match to
Oh,
me.
absolutely.
Like every time.
It's if you want my suggestion for a Dolph Ziggler ladder match, I'd have to go with TLC 2014. It was him and Luke Harper for the Intercontinental title.
Oh, that sounds good.
It was really good.
That's fantastic. And now Luke Harper is the Exalted One, right?
Yeah, he's the Exalted One. He's the leader of the Dark Order. He's actually hurt right now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But he was the TNT champion for a little bit. He beat Cody for it, and then Cody beat him for it back.
That's great.
And now Darby Allin's the champion, which I'm a fan of.
I'm gonna say I don't follow AEW much, but right. I followed it right when it came out, and I think Cody versus Dustin, like, that 10 out of 10, like right. That's probably one of my top 5 favorite matches all time. Just watching those two go at it, like the passion they had and the whole like family storyline thing, them like trying to create a new company, like so good.
The career resurgence of Dustin Rhodes is one of my favorite things.
Oh, it's fantastic.
From the 2013 like big return where he was teaming with Cody in WWE and like they won the tag titles.
Yes.
To like this year has been like one of the coolest resurgences to see.
Well, to just see him for like what he was in TNA Like the fact that we actually saw him at that point
Right.
was kind of tough, but then to see him actually come back was cool. Like I think it's what I like to think it's what could have happened to Scott Hall if he was just 10 years younger.
Right.
Like I always hope that if he had been rehabilitated that he could have done that, but it's just not meant for everyone. It really is cool that he was able to overcome his demons. Dustin was able to do that.
Well, we'll transition to the end now. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You can find us on Instagram at pWoCast. You can find us on Twitter at official pWo. And you can find us right here on YouTube at pWoCast. Actually, I think this one's going to be airing on the specifically Devoid channel as a takeover.
Okay.
Either way, find us on those social medias. Thank you for listening and stay classy. And